TheAnswer.com.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Again, Tuesday is Election Day, and it's not just for Mayor-elect Lightfoot. You got a lot of local races, mayors, village boards, school boards. Hello. Referenda, huge bond issues on the ballot in Winnetka, in Hinsdale, property tax increase in Oswego 208. We've discussed some of these and more. Hinsdale District 86 continues to be the most contentious because they continue going out for bond issues, losing, and then coming back for another bond issue, does the school district.
And there's no limit to how many times they could try, right?
No, and they've also mastered the art of the extortion for your money, extortion for liquidation of your home that is now being replicated by other school districts, which is this is Hinsdale District 86, which is you either give us what we want to improve our work environment as we see fit, meaning administrators and teachers, or
we're going to take your sports away?
Yep.
No more Friday night lights? No more swimming, no more cheering, no more band, no more community involvement.
The clubs you like and the sports you like, your kids like, gone. So liquidate your homes, give us that money, or the kids get it. And close to half of the District 86 population really driven by Hinsdale, because there's very different attitudes in the other communities that are part of District 86, Willowbrook, Oakbrook, Burr Ridge. But driven by Hinsdale and the the thugs that live in Hinsdale, the cultural Marxists that you can easily identify by the "Hate Has No Home Here" sign in their yard.
That's right.
Yeah, that's how you know somebody's intolerant when they're talking about their tolerance. It's close. It was close in November, lost. And it'll probably be close again on Tuesday. And to give you a sense of what people are up against, we've talked about this before, right? How gassy was Sarah Sanders being accosted at a restaurant when she's out with her family because she's Trump's spokesman. Ted Cruz being accosted at a restaurant in D.C. while he's out with his wife because, he's a conservative Republican. How about Zach Mottl? Who? Yeah, Zach Mottl, a manufacturing executive. His family has a manufacturing concern in Lyons, who's on the village board in Burr Ridge, mayor right now, running for mayor Burr Ridge, and has sort of been leading the anti-property tax increase campaign, the opposition to the referendum, the anti-property tax increase perspective. Also with alternatives for how some improvements could be made to Hinsdale Central and Hinsdale South without having to further decimate property values in the community through property taxation. And so Zach Mottl, after a candidate for him, is out in his community, and this happens.
What's your plan? No, what's your plan? All right, call the police. My friends are videoing it too because I'm not doing anything to you. Am I doing anything to this fine gentleman who's voting our district right now?
Hi, yes, I'm at Southern Comfort Barbecue. I'm being harassed and attacked by several people here. They're at my table screaming at me, yelling at me.
So it's hard to hear over Alanis Morissette, but you hear the woman screaming at him, saying this is the man, like publicly in a restaurant, this is the man ruining our district, our school district. And after so much of it, you hear Mottl calling the police. Because he's being harassed out in public in a restaurant before it gets to more of a confrontation than it already was. So just to give you a sense
of... like the mob mentality. Are you kidding? I mean, they want physical harm against people now?
Come
on, guys, get off your chairs. Let's go. Let's get this guy.
Hey.
It sounded like to me.
And I will bet you dollars to donuts that the women screeching at him have "Hate Has No Home Here" signs in their well-appointed yards in Hinsdale. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Zach Mottl, running for mayor of Burr Ridge and also, running from Hinsdale Housewives, but leading the charge against property tax increases in District 86. Zach, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. Great to be with you this morning.
So how about a little bit more color on that post-forum confrontation you endured?
Yeah, that was just unreal last night, Well, you talked about people just being weaponized by this issue, and that's what happened. You know, she was trying to even steal my food off my plate, which made me feel exactly like how this tax increase is. They just want to take it right off of our plate here and put it in their own mouth. It's terrible. There is absolutely no reason for this referendum. It is so wasteful. It's so unaffordable. The district, by its own measures, they've admitted they only need, at the most, $42 million for all of the safety upgrades, all the ADA compliance, all of the modernization, everything they want to do to make the pool safe. So why are they asking us for $140 million plus interest? It's almost 200. So the math just doesn't add up. And this behavior that we see where they weaponize people, they weaponize the children. These kids, it started with stealing of signs and online doxing. I mean, it's been one big hate forum on their Facebook page. I don't know why it's not illegal, quite frankly. But now it's spilled over into in public, being attacked and harassed. You know, it's just not right. And, you know, I asked these folks, they came up to me when I first came in, they were clearly drunk. And the woman said, "Are you Zach Mottl? And why are you trying to destroy our district?" I said, "Ma'am, please leave me alone. I'm eating." You know, she walked away. Then about 30 minutes later, her friend came up. That's who you heard on the video. Started screaming at me. She pulled up a stool. She's trying to take food off my plate. She's poking me, screaming at me, you know, and then we called the police. She waits while the police come. They come in there and they get her away, start talking to her, start talking to the other women. Now, one of the women in the group had wanted nothing to do with it and was trying to flee. I think it was her birthday. They probably ruined her birthday. And the police held her. But, you know, even when the police were there, the woman tried to come up and take a third bite out of the apple and come and scream at me. The police said, "If you don't get away from them, you're going to be arrested immediately." And they finally left. It was unreal.
Nothing is so scorned as a day-drinking Hinsdale housewife. That's what I find.
Have you actually smelled booze on their breath?
Oh, they were spilling their booze in their hand as they were trying to talk to me. It was pretty clear what they've been doing. I think they were there for a birthday party.
Well, I don't like when people take food off a plate. I can't believe she had the audacity to take food. What kind of food did she take off your plate? Well, that's so weird.
Give me a
That's your
French
personal
fry. Give me a
space.
French fry.
She took a French fry?
Well,
off with her head.
She was attempting to, yes. Unbelievable.
Don't touch my fries.
Yeah, I mean, look, what you had to eat last night is fascinating, but if we could get back to District 86 a little bit, just give us the particulars on this bond issue. The argument that the teachers union and the proponents are making, and that the argument you're making, as you started to, with the disparity between what they say they need and what they're asking for.
Well, sure. They're claiming this is for safety and security upgrades, but their own literature says that they will spend, I think it's around $5 million. It's under $10 million on safety and security. So there's a huge disparity in what they're going to spend on that and then the ask. But if you look at the actual punch list of the referendum items, they're spending on huge wasteful things like pools that are going to be, you know, something between $25 and $40 million. They've got, which we don't need in the area when the pools could be fixed, for $2 to $7 million. You know, and there's plenty of private pools in the area for big events. They've even got things like stage curtains in there for $2 million. I mean, I don't know what these
nice
curtains
stage curtains.
do, but $2 million.
Those are nice.
Unbelievable.
Nice.
Classrooms, $800 a square foot. Counseling center, $1,000 a square foot. The waste is so unbelievable. We've talked to contractors who build schools all around the state, around the country. They say you should be able to build new schools for under $300 a square foot. This is crazy. You could have 2 whole new schools. So there's a big disconnect, and that's what we're saying. The Vote No people, we're not against a referendum. We're against this wasteful, unfair, and unaffordable referendum. And there's 2 schools in the district, and one school, Hinsdale South, always seems to get treated like the ugly stepchild and doesn't get the same curriculum, classes, resources, and opportunities. There are great kids on both sides of this district, and there's kids on both sides of the district that need a little help too. And I don't think any of them are being served. And this bond referendum locks that in.
And isn't there still excess capacity, significant excess capacity at Hinsdale South as compared to actual student enrollment?
That's correct. Hinsdale South was built to hold 2,500 students, and right now there's only 1,500 at it. Now, Hinsdale Central has 2,700, and they're saying it's overcrowded, and they need to build these $800 square foot classrooms. And what we're saying is, wait a second, most school districts, in fact, every other school district in the state regularly adjusts their attendance boundaries to balance these kind of things because demographics change over the years through a district. So they're always moving the boundary a little bit between multiple schools in the district to kind of balance out the resources. And that's all we're saying. Simply use the existing taxpayer resources wisely before you build new. Fill up the old school before you build new. And then what you need for a referendum might look very different because you're going to have to allocate it between both schools fairly. That's all we're asking for is fair and equal treatment. And it's been turned into this horrible other thing where we're getting harassed and attacked for our views. It's just simply sad. And the school went one step further, as you mentioned. They cut the kids' football, sports, honor society. Now, this district brings in, I think this is illegal. It's a quid pro quo. It's voter intimidation. This district brings in $110 million a year for operating budget. And you're telling me they cut 1% of their operating budget, $1.2 million, and said, we've solved the problem. If this referendum doesn't pass, this is what we have to do. That's a joke. And that's the operating budget. The referendum is for facilities. So you're telling me that we're gonna take away the kids' important stuff. How about you look at some of the other areas the district spends money, the other 99% of where the district spends money if you need to make some cuts. I'm not against the cuts in efficiency, but why they started with the children, that makes no sense to me.
Because they're tugging at the heartstrings. And they're getting a lot of seniors who are 18 years old to vote. I mean, have you been to vote early? Have you heard about any early voting turnout yet?
Yeah, actually we've seen a very low turnout actually at the polls at the early voting from what we've seen. So, I think they talk a big game and this is flashing news to say these kids are voting for the first time, which I'm all for them voting, but hopefully they've had their first paychecks. I think in this case, many of them haven't. So I'm glad they're helping me with my money. I'm always glad to see civic engagement, but I think it's pretty low, even though it's been kind of flashy with that story.
And we've reported on this property taxes and the impact throughout Chicago and throughout the state, really, highest property tax in the nation. But Hinsdale, and I know you live in Burr Ridge, but Hinsdale, as well as the other communities, getting hammered. So, you're like, oh, Hinsdale, these people have all kinds of money. They've got unlimited funds. They can write blank checks. Well, no, that's not true. Not all of them. And more to the point, not all of them want to, even if they could. And so the number of for sale signs in Hinsdale and the prices that they're drawing compared to the prices that were paid for these homes, pretty stark numbers that people are confronting as they contemplate which way to go on this bond issue.
That's right. People in Hinsdale will have their house in the market for sometimes 2 years. It's unbelievable. And the inventory is at an all-time high. People don't want to stay in these high-price, high-tax homes. They come there to raise their family, and after they want to sell it and downsize, it's not a place people stay. And the inventory is just spiking because there's not an appetite for that. And every time they raise taxes, they're claiming if they don't get this tax hike through, the property values will suffer. Well, no, they won't. You are already in a top-rated district in the state. This district is not going to get any more top-rated. Those kids aren't going to get any smarter if we give them $140 million. What you are going to get is higher taxes, and another encumbrance on a property simply lowers the value because the buyer can only afford X amount of dollars, no matter how rich they are. They can afford mortgage, taxes, and their expenses. Now, if you increase one of the categories, you decrease the other ones. No matter how big the buckets are, no matter how much is available, there's only so much in the bucket. So they've limited the pool of buyers who can afford these houses by raising the taxes, and they will further lower their own property values if this tax hike passes.
And I wanted to have you on, too, because look, this is not your day job being a political candidate. So you're an executive at your family's longstanding manufacturing company in Lyons, which is just a whole other thing. You're an employer in the region, too, being treated like this. And you're sort of an example of somebody doing what they can do where they can do it, where so many people are fatalistic. I mean, you're not only leading the charge against this property tax increase and the further decimation of property values, you're also running for mayor of Burr Ridge. So what's your perspective as an employer and a manufacturing employer, no less, and an executive when it comes to taking on all of the slings and arrows you take on to run for local offices or get involved in local campaigns?
Yeah, it's been a little bit disappointing, but I'm certainly not going to give up. In fact, we're winning, so I should be excited. I just didn't expect it to be this ugly. I am a manufacturer. I grow things for a living. I employ just under 80 people at all my manufacturing businesses. So I get what it takes to create jobs, and I get how hard it is for most business owners and job creators out there. Oftentimes, they're busy running their businesses. They don't have time to do things. And, I've been involved with my industry association for a long time, chairing the committees there and past chairman. And I hear consistently from people, we've got to do something about this. They'll pound the table. And I say, well, what are you going to do? Because if you're complaining about your property taxes, the biggest issue is typically somewhere in your school districts. Go to the school board meetings, get involved. So I'm trying to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, show people how to make a difference and make it better. I am listening to what the school board is doing, and I'm saying enough is enough with this garbage here. So I encourage other people to do that and get involved. And yes, too, I'm running for village president in Burr Ridge, which, again, you don't always pick. Had I had a choice, I would not be having a village president race and running against a referendum at the same time. But in politics, the train stops at the station. You get on when the doors open. You don't set the schedule. So the opportunity was here, and I'm here to do the right thing. That's what's important to me in Burr Ridge, in my family business, and whatever I do. I've always tried to make sure we're doing the right thing. We're being accountable. We're being prudent and planning and thinking for the future, because I think that's the way to get ahead. When you have a plan and you think prudently and plan for all the options, you can get ahead.
I've known Zach for a few years now. We had him on the local show we used to do, focused on Illinois politics and policy routinely, just to talk about business climate and business policy. Super sharp young guy, providing leadership into the vacuum, jumping into the breach where few will go. And I got to tell you, Burr Ridge on Tuesday, you're nuts not to vote for Zach Mottl. And in District 86, whether you're in Burr Ridge or Hinsdale or Willowbrook or Oak Brook, you're nuts to vote for that bond issue. Vote no on District 86 bond issue, home equity grab, really. And yes, for Zach Mottl and Burr Ridge, as far as I'm concerned. Zach, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy. You two have a great day. Great to be with you all.
Good luck Tuesday. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
God, I love these fries.
If you love them so much, why don't you marry them? Can I have some?
Sure, Cindy, go ahead.
Oh, God, these are good.
Cindy, can you leave some for us?
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.